Well, I guess we can't do anything outside today.
Why? You afraid to get wet?
Nah, dude, because of COVID. Quarantine and stuff.
Oh, yeah. I forgot about that.
So I guess video games again tonight?
Yeah, okay, but I want to play something different. What have you got that we haven't played yet?
Let's see. Oh, we got Fracture, Heavenly Blade. Wait a second. Oh, I forgot I had this. Dude, do you want to play Quake?
What is Quake?
I'm so glad you asked that, annoying framing device sock puppet. Quake is the first video game I ever played, and it's probably in my top 10 or even top 5 to this day. I first played Quake when I was like a toddler, maybe 3 years old. My dad was gaming away in his computer room, and I wandered in, and he let me press the shoot button. God, it got to the point where I used to beg him to play it with me. I couldn't play it by myself because I was a kid and it was too scary.
The zombies in particular just freaked me out.
Actually, when I was a kid, I think we just had the shareware version. That's what comes on this disc for, I think, $10. And then if you wanted the rest of the game, there was this number you had to call. And you pay another $40 and they'd send you the code to unlock the rest of the game. The shareware only has episode 1 out of 4 on it. And I've played that so many times at this point, I know it like the back of my hand. I mean, I'm no Quake done quick, but it's pretty short and I can blow through it in probably 30 minutes. Actually, I have a recording of myself doing that in nasty-ass compressed 480p.
I'm gonna play Quake, and I'm gonna record it.
When I was a freshman, my roommates and I had this ill-conceived idea to start a gaming channel on YouTube. This was one of our very few uploads before that inevitably fell apart. God, look at me, I'm so young and clean-shaven and idealistic.
But now I'm old and grizzled and I move my hair to the front of my face like a real man, and I still have the disc.
Man, this manual is sick. I can remember taking this with me to school to show my friends. I also remember losing it there and never finding it again.
I guess I should clarify that in this instance, and actually in general, anytime that I say that I've had something since I was a kid, what I probably mean is I had it when I was a kid and I have it now, but there might be a gap in the middle between when I lost it, broke it, or sold it for $1 to buy a candy bar, and when I rebought it on eBay as an adult. Most of the objects of my childhood nostalgia have been in some way parted with and then reacquired later via the internet. But actually, if you want to play Quake, the disc probably isn't your best option.
Shockingly, that number isn't active anymore, and even the shareware can be tricky to get to run on modern Windows. I wasted a bunch of time trying to get the game running before I realized it's on Steam, and they'd sell it to you with all the expansion packs I'd never even heard of before for like a handful of pocket lint and a candy wrapper. So, yeah, just do that. The game starts up with a little demo running behind the main menu like an old arcade machine. It's not trying to entice me to feed it quarters, so I'm not sure what this is here for, but I guess it's kind of cool to get a taste of what we're in for. Right off the bat, in the starting room, we're greeted by Quake's distinct and incredible visual style. Medieval castle, anyone? Lava, horrifying torture of zombies, and a shotgun. Army of Darkness vibes.
This is my boomstick!
This room is actually a difficulty selection menu, and the difficulty in Quake is worth discussing. A lot of games increase difficulty by increasing enemy health and damage, which I hate. It means on higher difficulties the game is the same, except that you're playing as a tissue paper man and everyone you fight is a stubborn tree stump that has to be painstakingly hacked apart. Other games make the AI smarter on higher difficulties, but to my mind that means holding back, making the enemies on lower difficulty modes feel like they're all just a pack of morons.
Quake's solution is simple and elegant. With every increase in difficulty, they just increase the number of enemies and mix in some more powerful varieties.
As an example, in this spot on easy, you've got an ogre, on medium you've got some scrags too, and on hard there's a shambler. And then another shambler. That's quite a leap. I feel like this is a pretty good solution though. All the enemies are as smart as the programmers could make them, and well balanced to feel fun and challenging to fight individually, and none of these difficulty modes feels boring or cheap or incomplete. It's a well-rounded experience no matter what you pick, and I don't really get why more games don't do it like this. I guess their engines limit the number of on-screen characters too strictly, or their combat systems aren't flexible enough? Anyway, I typically play on medium, although I recommend jumping difficulties based on your experience level. Maybe go for easy on a stage you've never seen before. I like to do hard sometimes on the first episode now, although I admit I've never actually finished it like that. Through the portal, our next room is the episode selection area. Notably, if you have the shareware copy, the Elder World, the Dimension of Black Magic, and the Netherworld are all off limits to you. That's your extra $40, baby. You get the Dimension of the Doomed. That's episode 1, which is where we're headed right now. It takes us first to the Slipgate Complex, a sort of sci-fi military base type situation. The lore of the game,
which, mind you, isn't in the game anywhere. It's just in the manual.
Explains that researchers have, while working on a teleportation technology called slipgates, accidentally punctured through into another dimension, leading to a host of horrifying monsters serving a mysterious otherworldly force to surge out. So you are fighting your way to the slipgate to teleport yourself into the other world and take the fight to them. Once we get there, we immediately discover that the place of origin for these monsters is filled with a series of awesome gothic temples, packed with traps and horrifying mystical creatures. And you, for your part, are armed with an arsenal of modern but still gothic-feeling firearms. Listen to that sound design. That is a nail gun. And these are knights. Super shotgun. Death Knight. Yes. I dig that mix. Sci-fi and fantasy. Put some Star Trek in your Lord of the Rings. Put some Halo in your Elder Scrolls. Or in this case, put some Gears of War in your Dark Souls, maybe? I don't know, that's not a very good analogy, but I can't think of a better one.
That blend is actually due to compromises made during the design process. I haven't mentioned it until now, but Quake was actually created by the id Software Dream Team, the OG two Johns, Romero and Carmack. They're probably more famous for Doom, you know, the genre-defining first-person shooter that everyone remembers taking the 90s by storm.
You guys want to play Doom?
After the success of that game, Romero wanted to branch out from the shooter genre and the sci-fi setting. So, Quake was originally going to be like a mythological-themed hack and slash. You'd play as a demigod named Quake, thus the name, and smash your way through monstrous hordes with a magical Mjolnir-esque hammer. It didn't quite pan out that way, though. Quake was the biggest project it had ever undertaken, and as it grew in scope, it was starting to demoralize the team. Development stretched to triple the length of any previous id project, and the budget was starting to get out of control. So, despite Romero's protests, the team ultimately decided that what they needed to do was pull things back towards their comfort zone a little bit so they could just get it done. I mean, Doom was a big hit, we know how to do guns, right? Forget the hammer, just put some guns in it and ship it.
The strife from that fraught development process was what actually led to Romero leaving the company, breaking the power bond of the two Johns and ensuring that neither of them would ever produce a great game again.
They must have needed each other for balance or something, because once separated, their work was more typical of the boring, or the laughable. The Quake we got, therefore, is kind of a half-breed. Half Romero's vision of a gothic Lovecraftian dungeon crawler, and half just 3D Doom. It wasn't what Romero wanted. They failed to complete his vision and instead just filled in the gaps with old ideas. And I get why he was disappointed. I mean, I love me a magic hammer.
But I also dig these guns, dude.
And the mismatch between heavy weapons and magic monsters creates such a unique vibe. Even though I know it's unintentional, I can't help but love it.
Boom! Oh, fire spells, huh?
Well, that may be the modicum of power in your world, buddy, but you ever seen one of these before? That's what I thought.
Through the slipgate into the Dimension of the Doomed, our first trial is the Castle of the Damned. Creepy gothic temple, walkways suspended over nasty-looking water, and here we get our first peek of the sky of the other world, which seems to be... Ooh. Are those screaming faces? That's a bad sign, my man. A little quad damage gets us past our first fiend, and then we're on to the Necropolis, or as I knew it as a kid, the zombie level. So called because of the zombies. Straightforward enough. This is also the point where we run into my first gripe with the game's original design. If you're running the OG controls, which are designed to be played with either the mouse or the keyboard, but not both, you may notice there's not really a straightforward way for you to look up or down. Which is a problem here, because if you can't look down, you'd be kind of hard-pressed to notice the key to this door hanging out down here. With the benefit of hindsight and modern shooter conventions, I recommend rebinding the controls. You can set WASD to movement and use the mouse to look left and right. I used to make the center button my mouse look key.
Yeah, that's right. The game includes mouse look, but doesn't enable it by default.
If you happen to have auto hotkey installed and know what you're doing, you can whip up a script pretty easily that will enable mouse look permanently, but I find the game is totally playable with this binding setup, so this part is just gravy. Anyway, we get the key, then more zombies. Into this tunnel, and we're about as far as Kid Jeff was ever able to get without help from Dad. These zombies, man, that sound used to just...
Did I mention this is kind of a horror game? I mean, it's an action game, but... That music that's playing, by the way, that's in the game. Nine Inch Nails frontman and at the time only member Trent Reznor collaborated with id to create the game's soundscape. Yeah, the F you like an animal guy made this.
Listen to it, it's atmospheric and so tense. Quake was kind of riding the line without it, but add this music into the mix and yeah, this is a full-on horror game. This is I'm going to be ripped limb from limb by a horrifying monster at any moment music. This is I am definitely prey and everything in here is a predator music. I'll be honest with you, it fits the game excellently and it's definitely awesome, but a couple hours of this... It's just not good for your blood pressure.
Nope! Interestingly, this music isn't actually in the game's files. It's printed on the game disc like a regular music CD, which means if you have a CD player in your car, you can actually put in the Quake game disc and listen to the soundtrack while you drive.
Well, my morning commute just got a lot more intense.
The game was programmed to just play the music from the CD at the appropriate times, but that meant if you didn't have the disc in, no music.
I guess it sort of killed two birds with one stone. I mean, it was an efficient way to store the files, and it sort of served as a primitive form of copy protection, too. If you downloaded the game illegally, you had no disc, and therefore no music. But me and my dad had the disc, we just never thought to leave it in after the game was done installing. So no music is actually how I'm used to playing the game. We straight up didn't know Quake had music at all.
As a corollary, if you buy the game on Steam, you also won't have the disc. That's right, the Steam version has no music included.
Now in a way, that really sucks, because the music is great.
But it also kind of makes the game more tense than I want it, in my own personal opinion.
Hey, far be it from me to be the guy that tells you to play a video game with no music, but...
Without Reznor's score, Quake kind of stops being a horror game, and I think it kind of plays better as an action game.
If you're into that, forget the CD. Just open up the old Spotify and put on some of Mick Gordon's new Doom score.
Now it's an action game. Where was I? Oh yeah, okay. through the creepy zombie tunnels, into the creepy zombie chamber, and we're done with the necropolis. Now it's onto the Grisly Grotto. Don't you love these level names? They're so fun. This one gives you a biosuit, which you don't actually need. It extends the length of time you can stay underwater without taking drowning damage, but the little jaunt the game requires takes less than the amount of time you'd have without the suit. Then again, if you're playing on 1996 controls, you might have trouble, like, swimming downwards, and letting yourself sink is going to take a second. Right here, we get the creme de la creme, the Perforator. Oh, baby. Nail minigun. Listen to that. That's good. This is maybe, like, top 10 guns in video games right here. That hits just right. Anyway, at around this point, we have a choice. We can either finish the level normally, or, if we complete this button sequence, go here, and then go back here, we can unlock a super secret alternate level, and also skip the end of this one.
That might sort of upset the completionists out there. Hell, it kind of upsets me. Whatever.
This bonus level is called Ziggurat Vertigo. This is the Ziggurat, I guess. As for the Vertigo, well, this level is creative, but I don't know if I'd call it very fun. Basically, they've turned the gravity way down so you can hop around like you're on the moon. In theory, this is crazy and fun, but in practice, you spend a lot of time just, like, waiting for your character to land. Also, it's kind of confusing, although frankly that can be said of a lot of Quake's levels. They can have a little maze-ishness to them that I kind of don't dig sometimes. And that isn't helped by the wacky physics here. Anyway, regardless of which choose-your-own-adventure path we go for, our next stop is the Gloom Keep. This is a solid level. We get the rocket launcher, aka the get-the-f***out-of-my-way gun, aka the kill-yourself-all-the-time gun.
Jeff becomes bored with the you.
We get lots of traps, ceiling spikes, and spike shooters, and these crazy mechanical spike thingies that push you off platforms into a monster pit. Good stuff. These are sort of annoying, but hey, what's not to like about the core loop of shooting knights in the face with big guns? And key get...
Now we have the door to Chuffin.
This level is great. I love the dark, cryptic atmosphere. It's so hostile and creepy. There's a blood red rune key, zombies fall from the ceiling, everything is just dark stone underpinned with glowing magma. This thing is here. Yeah, this level is cool. We certainly get a sense that things are getting sort of serious, and at the end of the level, our final shambler is enshrined by some truly befitting map design. This almost makes me feel like I'm about to fight a minor god, and technically the shambler is really just a door guard, but yeah, huge eyeless hairy monster with lightning powers? That's not gonna disappoint. Past the door guard, through the sweet floor portal, we reach the final boss stage for Shareware Quake, the House of Chuffin. The powerful rune of earth magic sits waiting for us, but as soon as we grab it, the mighty Chuffin is awakened. You can shoot this guy with whatever you want, blow all your rockets and nails, he's not even gonna flinch, and the moment you stop moving, he'll waste you with a fireball.
That being said, this boss is actually pretty easy.
As long as you don't stop, he'll never hit you, and all you gotta do is grab the health, hit the elevator, and then run around the perimeter here a few times to zap him.
If you've got the shareware copy, like me and my dad did back in the day, that's basically it.
You drop down here to the end of the level. This is where my dad and I would just fire off all our ammo, because there wasn't really anything left for us to use it on.
I remember always looking forward to that part as a kid for some reason.
And then you step through this portal and end the level. The game gives a bunch of ogres and shamblers for you that were evidently hiding in the ceiling, I guess so that your final kill count won't read 0. And then you get this awkwardly slow scrolling lore text that you cannot speed up. If you try, you'll just skip it and won't get to read it at all.
But this doesn't have to be the end for us. I've got the Steam copy now, which means all 4 episodes, plus a bunch of expansion packs I got in the same purchase. So if you're interested in hearing about that, mash subscribe on my channel. And maybe leave this video a like so I know you all are interested in Quake stuff. Anyway, until next time, I'm Big, I'm Stupid, I'm Jeff, and thanks for watching.
As the corpse of the monstrous entity Chuffin sinks back into the lava whence it rose, you grip the rune of earth magic tightly. Now that you have conquered the dimension of the doomed, realm of earth magic, you are ready to complete your task. A rune of magic power lies at the end of each haunted land of Quake. Go forth, seek the totality of the 4 runes.
Hogan!